أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
الله.
لا إله إلا الله.
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة على محمد وسيلة الفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة العالية المقام. يا الله. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وخليله. عباد الله، أوصيكم بتقوى الله وطاعته وكثرة مخافته ولزوم أوامره، فإن التقوى شعار المؤمنين ودثار المتقين ووصية الله تعالى في وفيكم أجمعين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة في الدين ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Brothers and sisters in Islam, protection from the hellfire is one of those objectives for any Muslim when he's doing his dua and worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that reflects in the verse, يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة. So protection, of course, first each one starts with himself or herself. That's why the ayah says قوا أنفسكم as a مخاطب for all the mu'mineen on the individual level, each one, then وأهليكم, and each of those part of the family that the people surrounding. The matter of protection from the hellfire is not a free lunch to get it. We all know that. That obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes with the cost of sometime your so-called joy of your life. Because at the end, we end up between the two commands. Do that, don't do that. So you have always those two lists in front of you. the actions, the statements, the movements that we do in your life are tied between those two commands, waiting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you permission or commanded you to do that, or He prevented you not to do that and be prevented. Or something that you are in between mubah allows to do. In this khutbah, really, I was thinking to come up with a subject. The subject is very broad. That nowadays, after the school semesters of colleges and high schools ended, kids are home. And the matter of bringing the generation and their tendency toward the Islam, it's always that gap in the generation, it triggers in the mind of certain people. But certain majority of the people, really they are in the delusion. They don't feel it. If the father comes to the masjid, or if he does the prayer at home, he won't feel that the children is part of him and he's in charge has to do something for them. And it's a matter of the importance of that subject, how much is important for the father or the mother toward that child and responsibility. Because we don't live in old days. Like I mentioned last khutbah, everywhere you hear the adhan, you go to the gathering, people, even back home, things are changing. Wallahi, things are changing very bad. So, and that's where they came out from school and more duties. Now they are without any duty. I really want you to understand what exactly the youth go through. And from there, then we could come up, we have to know their suffering and the challenges they go through it. And from there that we could see how you could treat it. And what is your responsibility that there is a gap that you did not fill it. So number one is what the youth is looking for. Always looks for something belonging. مجموعة ينتمي إليه. The way the nature of any person is social, that want to be part of something, part of the group. And that group for the young child, for the young kid, is something, is objective. Because from there, he has to find himself, that to feel that he has a friend is tied with. And is not isolated by himself or herself. And from there, they will create events. The events to make their life joyful. It's not like us. If the adult person goes home, working 8 hours, 9 hours, you go home, our mindset is, I am tired, I assuming everybody is tired. But life is not like that. You are tired, they are at the full energy to do activities. We all go through that. You want to take rest in the weekend, now he has more energy to go and do something. And if you say, I'm tired, do you think that energy inside that young person will be dead? No. That energy is there. That's the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the level of the people, so that the life will have that energy and activation to go forward. And that's where the price you have to adjust, to say, okay, if you are tired, one thing is the other side is not tired. You have to cut something out of your life to fulfill the need from the other side. Because as we said, if you don't fill it, the child won't wait on you. We'll go to I was talking to my son when we were coming to drive into masjid. The benchmark, you have certain age. When you lose that time, then it's very hard. It's like how you bend the dry branch. If you dry it, it will break. The child will leave you. And you will end up in 2 years, by 18. The system already brought him up in a way to live. So now sometime, okay, now we understand the gap, but certain parents, many parents, not only small group, Many parents first looks, where do you want to spend your summer break? Which place you do want to work? The child even did not think about the work the parent is thinking about, to find a job at Walmart, at Kroger, at McDonald's, or some of those places to hire. Especially nowadays, maybe I don't know how much they pay, $10, $15, whatever they pay. It become a big thing for that parent, that sending that child to one of those places and let the child work, comes back with the income. You could collect the money for yourself, for your education, so on and so forth. But do you know that you do is, if you say halal or haram, nobody can say it's haram. We are not talking about the halal and haram here. We are talking the parent has to look for the longer vision to see where this will end up. Two things you will lose. One, when the child sees the money, so you are already the main reason you are a father in that house, to bring the food on the table. Isn't it? Because the other thing, you cut it. All the other relation, you are not as a friend of that person. When the child sees that he's independent now, can pay for himself, for his food, the matter of the value that the statements you make, it will be reduced. You won't be on the same level, definitely. Because in the past, he had a hard time to ask you for $100 to do something. Now he has $500. What are you going to fight? You say, this is not your money, it's my money. Won't work. The culture is not the way that you think at home. Back home, when we were working at home, every penny we make, we come back, we give it to our mother. Keep it for us. And it's not working like that. It's just a bank. He opened a bank, she opens a bank. The money, the direct deposit will go even without any of us seeing it. So that's one. The second part is the child, you give it to an area that you don't know what is going on. Where is ending up? You did not find a friend. You did not find the environment that child to be in, and you let it go. And the child is not in a level to protect himself or herself. And now is exposed for outside. Any damage could cause there. It will be very hard to fix it. And the problem is matter of the deen, as I mentioned. At the end of the day, the deen will end it up with the do or don't do. Who likes to say do that, don't do that? No human likes it to be commanded. No human. And the opportunity of the shaitan, it comes in because the desire, I want to do what I want. But if someone tells you the child is on PlayStation, is playing, now tell him, let's go to the masjid. What are you going to get in masjid? What joy the child, you are just pulling him into the masjid, what joy he will get here to sit there and talks about this stuff? He won't. Even if from the adult person comes to any of you. What we say here impacted in your life to change your character. But in reality, as is in dunya, it won't give you anything. Like there is nothing that you could gain out of the dunya. In the long run, Islam is perfect. But in the individual time and level, when it comes, you have to spend more time. You have to take off at your work. Some people, they have to make up that hour again after 5 p.m. And those comes with the price you give. So now for the young person, what are you going to do? At that time, the child is already in a matter that to do what the desire wants it, or will be under the commitment of some other work that you won't have a control on it. Therefore, brothers and sisters in Islam, that few dollars that you make is really, you have to be careful and take a pause before you do it. So that you don't get rid of the leadership. One day, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu was sitting among the companions, the time that he was Khalifa. Umar is famous for his leadership. So he was in a gathering. and he asked the people, make a wish. Make a wish. Anyone among the companions surrounding him. And his Khalifa, one of them said, I wish I will have so much resource, money-wise. And then when I get to that, I'll spend it all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then another companion said, I wish I would have all the type of jewelries, zumrud and all the things that available at that time. I will then start to sell them and distribute it among the people and make the good deeds out of that. Then he asked them, make more wish. And at the time they said, we don't know. That's what human being. The highest you go, that's all the wish of the life, isn't it? Just to have more money, more things. Now, Umar is sitting there. Of course, they won't say to spend it for something else. They will spend for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is a good wish. That believer has to have that mindset always. There is no jealousy except in two. One is, if somebody, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bestowed on him wealth, and he's spending for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you wish that to be like him, to have enough to be like him. The other one is knowledge. Those are jealousy will not apply to them. So Umar said, I wish I have people, men, like Abi Ubayda Amr ibn al-Jarrah, Salim Mawla Abi Hudayfa, and Mu'adh ibn Jabal. He mentioned those three. If I would have those, I will liberate the whole world. 100 of those. So that's where he's looking. He's not looking for the wealth, because the one who makes the money, the one who generates the life is the man. Is the man of leader that they could make a difference. That's why the statement says, الرجل could be مقابل ألف الرجل. A man could balance 1,000. In fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described Ibrahim by a nation. One person could change the entire nation of the path, of the way people live. So that's where you have to, your mindset has to be, to make a difference from that young child, son or daughter that you have. Because as much as you spend time on him or on her, you will relax later on. But if you relax it now, wallahi, your life will be miserable. Miserable. In a worst case, that every day is like a death come to you. How hard it is that you come home and the child doesn't know about the prayer. How hard will be if you are at home, you are fasting, and the child comes back drunk. How hard will be if you come home and you make the ibadah and the child even not fasting during Ramadan. And all the talks is when you start talking about the deen, everybody spread out as if you are talking about something very awkward. So for the believer, that's very hard to handle. That's why is the time that you have to allocate the time with that child, wallahi, every second of it, you won't lose it. You won't regret it at all. And at the end, then the time that comes for you, then you thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you made it to them. I'll finish it in a second. خطبة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. من عمل صالحا فلنفسه ومن أساء فعليها وما ربك بظلام للعبيد. توجه إلى الله بدعاء. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. Brothers and sisters in Islam, so one of the challenges the young generation goes through, we've been the same, is by the matter of the acceptance or the rejection. Because the environment, the person adjusts, even us, to see that you will be accepted by a group or you will be rejected. And the finding that right group That's where the challenge is. The youth, they do not have enough experience to be very selective. For you as an adult, you're already in a good path. Experiment you have, wisdom you have, that's easier to find to say, reject this, accept that. But the young, you did not give option. So the option, he has to just shoot in the dark and find someone, because he has to, or she has to say, I will be accepted by that side. Can't live by himself or herself. And that acceptance, it is always a صراع بين الدواعي الاستقامة والانحراف. How can you stay on the steady path, or you decline from the path? Between those two challenges will be there. And any person will be between the two sides. You have friends will take you to that side, and you have other side people take you toward the evil side. And between those two, it's really a matter of which force you increase, then the tendency to go that. Or the environment you create for that child, then will go to that side. The point is, we should not brag about that, okay, I bought you food, I'm buying you clothes, I'm buying you that, I'm put a shelter on your head, and all of those stuff. That's even hashakum. You have cattle at home, you do the same. Your level is much higher than that just to brag about what you provide for eating and drink. You have to give enough level to that child in a way that to be able to communicate, to open his heart to you and can say what is thinking. Doesn't matter, evil or good, let the child to speak up. Create that environment to be able to speak up and talk. This is the way that the leadership came up in the Islamic history. Most of you know the story of Abdullah ibn Zubayr. When Umar was walking, men were feeling shy from him. A bunch of kids, everybody ran away except one. Abdullah ibn Zubayr was a kid that time. And he didn't run. And he stood in his place. And Umar came, he was surprised. And he came, he asked him, why every kid ran away and except you? And he gave two reasons. Number one, he said, I did not commit a dhanb. I did not commit the wrong deed. I did not commit any major sin or small sin. One. Second, the road is enough for me and you, both. And that's it. That's the statement makes it, you know that the future of this child is different. It will come up different. As most of you know, Abdullah ibn Zubayr was leading a revolution toward the Umayyi for their oppression. And that's where allow people. And in the time, last khutbah, I mentioned the young person came to the Prophet ﷺ, asked him to allow him to do adultery. And that allowance for the young to talk and be able to express how he thinks or she thinks is really very important. You can't block people to say, oh, you should not think that way. You have to explain where is it. In many ahadith, Prophet ﷺ, many people nowadays matter of the atheism is people not knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the tools to show that Allah exists is people not thinking that much on that side. Because the environment around it will think that the sun is son of God. That's the wave of that. Muslims, if we don't fill the gap that Allah is one and this is the way to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how come that child will think that Allah is only one and need to be worshipped? Automatically in our mind that will be coming out. That's why the verse when he says قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ نَارًا, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that if it comes automatically, he won't say that. But he added that waw al-ataf there so that you know there is a work. You have to do work on yourself and also on the people you are in charge of them. And that link is always, it comes with the cost that you have to work on it and get there. And the sunnat al-tadarruj. So one other thing is, you already are, if you are late, say before 15 and 16, Now, you want your child to be guided. You never pay attention to him in the last 15 years. You did not teach him. You did not take him to any Quran class. You did not take him to any masjid. You did not find any friend for him. Now you are trying to do good deeds. Now at that time you say, let's go to do, you open the whole gate of the Islam for the child. He can't do it. So really you have to start very well programmed. Ask other people who have good experience. Don't just let yourself. When you do the business, you go ask people, is this will make money? It doesn't make money? How can you come? What's a good place? You see, all of those for the dunya, you do it. When it comes to your children, you never spend any time. You just, what comes to your mind at that point, you are angry or not angry, you will make a decision. And you are expecting every return of that to be good. And then when it's not going right, you say, I did what I can. But you did not do what you can. You have to ask others. Look, where is the other status of the others? And where is the good that you are looking for? And then look for that. How much time you spend on your money and wealth, spend more time on your children to bring them up in a better environment. And see what are the things that are impacting them. And then by time, then you will adjust that child. So the matter is, you have to spend time, not to take it very, very simple in a 24 hours, things will change. This is all prophets, they get old out of how to bring up the people. Imagine this. All of those years, Abi Dharr al-Ghafari, when you read his biography, the most peaceful man. The most peaceful man. One day, at that age, he's in Medina all the time, he get in a discussion with Bilal, Yabna Sauda. And he used the racist statement toward him. You wouldn't expect Abi Dharr to say that. But the correction goes back to the Prophet ﷺ. Bilal signals the things this is supposed not to be. If a hypocrite would have told him, Bilal, I would say he might not have said anything. Because he knows those people, كأنهم خشوب مسندة. Quran is describing the hypocrites. It's like piece of wood, you put it beside the wall. There is no in and out in them from the good. It's all evil. But Abi Dharr, how come he can say that? So it's a big signal for him. Goes to the Prophet ﷺ. And he's not taking out Abi Dharr from all the past. إنك امرؤ فيك جاهلية. There is still a small root of the ignorance still is there. You need to fix it. So the matter of that correction for ourselves, self-correction, and correction for the family that you're in charge, correction for the friends. This is the way we have to correct each other. Otherwise, if I know everything and you think you know everything, it never goes in a way. يأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر. Luqman said to his son, يا بني أقم الصلاة. Do your prayer. With that, وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر. Because that's what the salah is supposed to do. إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر. But does our prayer really reflect us to do the good and prevent us from the evil, or you get used to it? So those are the really important things for us in summary, brothers and sisters in Islam. You have to take really very matter of the children in a higher expectation in your mind. And for that, you have to work on it. If you have a child, say, outside of the state, he's went for the education, you can't say, assume everything goes right. Assuming everything goes right. You have to always think to stay with that child. I mentioned last time, not as a halal and haram, I repeat it here again, I said for the bachelor degree, do not send your children outside of your city. And I say that because based on the experience, we have it in the community. And throughout the places. Because if you did not pay attention to that child, to be ready in a way to do the good and prevent the evil and do the prayer in front of you, how in the world do you expect that child in another place is all parties in the first year of the college to come back to you like a Sahabi? No way. So because shaitan is there. And for you to have that mindset to say everything goes right, yeah, they pay a scholarship, they pay that, they pay that. All your negotiation was for a few $1,000s. Instead, the child to come home to be under your eyesight. Big difference. And after that, when they pass 22, 23, then they are different kids anymore. After that, they will start to realize the meaning of the life. They won't be the same one of 18 and 19. So it's really for us, it's always consider the living of your child is your investment. Forget about the other things. That's your investment. Wallahi, you survive. But that piece, if you miss it, no one come from the sky to say, okay, let me guide your child. And the importance of the, wallahi, I know it is hard, but it's matter of the consideration in your mind, because in hereafter, you will be in the sight of the prophets and the good people, inshallah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide all of us to the truth. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant iman in our heart, inshallah. Wa sallu wa sallimu ala nabiyyikum thani qawlihi tabaraka wa ta'ala. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم لا تدع لنا في مقامنا هذا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا ضالا إلا هديته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا حاجة هي لك رضا ولنا فيها صلاحا إلا قضيتها يا أرحم الراحمين عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله قم الصلاة
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله استووا تراسوا واعتدلوا استووا صفوفكم فإن تسوية الصفوف من تمام الصلاة سيد الله shoulder to shoulder, feet to feet, inshallah. صلوا صلاة المودع. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها وقال الإنسان ما لها يومئذ تحدث أخبارها بأن ربك أوحى لها يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا ليروا أعمالهم فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر